friends. Beautiful day in Maine. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau. An almost daily walking vlog. Today it's 80 degrees, all sunshine as you can see, and we have a beautiful dry day today. The humidity has blown out of town. Canadian air has blown in. The dew point is about 51. Very comfortable, low humidity. Still warm though. The sun feels hot, which is why I'm wearing a gray shirt instead of a black one like I usually wear. When we start getting colder, you will see me wear dark clothing to absorb the sunlight. I'm going to cut across here. So past the pickleball court. The pickleballers are going home. So today, my friends, is potentially a good day. I'm going to turn the camera around. Or extend it. Hi everybody. Hi. I'm going to seek peace in the world tonight, hopefully. We have the Trump-Putin Peace Summit tonight. Actually, this afternoon. They're going to be talking shortly. I'm hoping for the best, but I don't know what we're going to get. I saw a short little press gaggle from a little while ago with President Trump talking about how, you know, it's in Putin's genes and DNA that on a day that they're going to talk, they had launched some attacks on Ukraine. Putin thinks that shows strength or something like that. Pretty obvious. It's really not the case though. But Putin's kind of old school. That's how people used to do things that ran countries. We're in a different day and age now, and Putin's behind the ball on that. It really doesn't help him to do that. He doesn't really have the advantage militarily either. I mean, he's got some nukes, hypersonic. Those are dangerous for sure. But the Russian Navy isn't what it used to be. Military is not either, because so much of it has been wasted in Iraq. Not Iraq, Ukraine. So there's not really much that he has for cards, really. Financially, his country is being kept afloat by Iran and China, which is why I said Iraq a minute ago. It's weird how the brain goes back to the 90s. Iran-Iraq war in the 80s. But anyway, so I don't know what we're going to see tonight for what comes out of this. In my opinion, Trump is going in with the right attitude. He said, I just want a ceasefire. It's my main goal. You know, I'm not here to speak on behalf of Ukraine, he said. I'm not here speaking for Russia. Just want to be a mediator and get a ceasefire. And then the real talks can happen. And, but of course, if that doesn't happen tonight, the media is going to be all about how Trump is a failure. And, you know, it'd be really nice if these media people would actually care about peace and support Trump in this. Try to get something done to save lives instead of sell pharma ads on their networks. You know, the media is absolutely disgusting. The worst of the worst. I can't find anything good to say about them ever. You know, we have to go by example. Horrible. It's all about trying to sway political power for Democrats who are in the toilet because of the media, partially. You'd think some Democrat from the DNC would call the media and say, hey, you know, this isn't helping us. So, anyway, as you can see, we have a absolutely beautiful day today. I didn't bring my sunglasses today. Maybe I should have, I don't know. For a while I wasn't using my sunglasses because of I lose contrast and sharpness because the eyeballs are getting old, and I have cortical cataracts, which aren't bad enough to affect my sight, but combined with regular old age that your eyes get, things aren't exactly as sharp as they used to be. I should probably get some kind of glasses beyond reading glasses. Now, looking in the distance, I can still see a lot of detail, read signs, but it's not like it used to be. So definitely have to get some glasses at some point. So anyways, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this Trump-Putin summit, but Putin's plane was just landing in Alaska, Eldendorf-Richardson Air Base, by the way, if you're curious. So, Putin has landed. So I don't know what we're going to get for results from the talks. President Trump said today on the plane, talking with the press just a couple hours ago, that he was very happy to find out that a lot of the people coming with Putin are big business people in Russia. So I don't know what kind of meeting that's going to be, but if they're bringing business people to a discussion that may result in a ceasefire, I think Putin's advisors have told him that if Trump puts these tariffs on, even China, who's selling fuel to Russia, they're not going to be selling fuel anymore. And if they do, there's going to be 100% tariff on fuel being sold to allies from Russia. So Trump had a discussion with all of the European world leaders before this summit, and they're all on the same page. Zelensky was in person in Europe, and Trump was via Zoom, and they all had a discussion and came up with an agreement on what they're going to do with different outcomes from today. So at this point, Russia has lost over 1 million people in this war. That is even according to some Russian sources. So you got 3 different sources. One is Ukraine, one is Russia, and one is the media in Europe. The Ukrainian one says there's more Russians dead, of course, a couple 100,000. But all of them agree it's over 1 million people dead. Ukraine is in rubble. It's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild Ukraine, which people are going to be paying the bill. Russia should pay for it, but realistically that's not going to happen. And if you do that, past history tells us that when Europe did that to Germany after World War I, that fueled the rhetoric for World War II. And that's how Germany came to power, because Germany was held bankrupt. They were ordered not to have a military. So if you do things like that to Russia, they'll come back later. You have to remember, you know, Russia lost 40 to 60 million people fighting Hitler. And they will protect their homeland to the last man, as we would here as well. So you can't do that to them. So them sending business people there, talking with Trump to work a deal, could very well be very beneficial to Russia. And I think we should get a ceasefire. Help Russia, as much as it's going to piss people off, to help them financially regain and rebuild the Ukraine, which is going to be at great cost for everybody. So we've poured so much money into Ukraine already. If Europe pays their fair share and we don't foot the bill, that'll be fine with me, if there's going to be peace. I don't want to pay to rebuild Ukraine and get nothing out of it. We need mineral rights. We need oil rights. We need to be compensated. And Trump will do that. So, but first we need a ceasefire. Need a ceasefire. We'll see if we get it today. Trump's not being overly optimistic, but he's not being pessimistic either. But, oh, look at that. Look at that broccoli. All kinds of stuff growing here. MAHA, make America healthy again. This guy's growing tomatoes and everything. Right now, Maine is officially in a drought. They finally decided to call it one. When last week I said, it's a drought. If you go hiking in the woods and you see how the conditions are, leaves are discolored from not having enough water. It's a drought. This house here had a Trump flag outside the longest time. So anyway, you can see what I mean. The grass is all brown, people's lawns. And a lot of people in Maine don't really fuss too much with sprinkler systems. because we really don't need them here. So this is unusual to have brown grass like this in Maine when it's not November. These are what lawns look like in November here and October, just before winter, mainly because of the sun angle going away. So it is dry. So my friends, Trump said today he'll know in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the meeting how this is going to go today. And he said he doesn't know what's going to happen, but he may turn around and make a quick exit, he said. In other words, if he shows up and Putin is just spewing bullshit, he's going to turn around and leave. Go back at it another day. And he'll impose the sanctions. From what I've noticed, Putin has kind of an air of arrogance about him. And, you know, because he looks at these world leaders like we do. They're weak, globalist, you know. They talk good for the media, but they're weak men. Emmanuel Macron is weak. Trudeau was weak. And now you have, what's his face in Canada? He's so great, I don't remember his name. But you get the point. None of these people are, you know, Woody the Woodpecker. Got red hair on top of his head. So anyway, Putin, for some reason, thinks Trump is a pushover. And the truth of the matter is Trump has been very patient, allowing Putin to embarrass him. And apparently that has ended. We don't know what Trump said to Putin behind closed curtains with his envoy. But after Witkoff met with the Russian delegate, Putin took the extraordinary step of flying to another country to talk with Trump in Alaska. So obviously, something has changed. Somebody dropped their reading glasses. I'll leave them here in case they come back for them. Ooh. Definitely still warm, but it's not muggy like it was. I've been walking at night. Did not walk last night. I gotta watch the cars coming up ahead. So I didn't walk last night. I had stuff to do. So it was very muggy last night. Today I had just before going for this walk, had the AC off and had the window open. Some fresh air. It's always nice when you can open the windows. Tonight the AC will be off. Have the windows open, let some fresh air in the house. So that'll be nice. So we'll find out what happens tonight. Hopefully good news. I think Trump's taken the proper steps. I think tonight or this afternoon when they speak, it's like 3 o'clock here, and I think it's noontime in Alaska. So we'll know shortly what's going on, I think. And it would be awfully nice to get a ceasefire at least, so people stop dying, with an agreement to sit down and talk later, with a ceasefire that will hold and not be more bullshit. I don't trust Zelensky and I don't trust Putin. I don't think either one of them can keep their zippers up long enough to have an actual peace deal done with a ceasefire. Ceasefire might last for 2 days. And I think all hell will break loose again. I think both of them have a taste for it now. And that's the problem. This has been going on for so long now, 3 years, that think about that. All of the great conflicts, for the most part, in modern times with modern equipment, have gone on for 5 or 6 years before ending. World War I, the majority of the killing was 2014 to 2018. 1914 to 1918. I'm in the wrong century, which is good. So that was a big 4-year window. But Germany and France have been going at it before that. So, you know, there always seems to be 4 to 6 years. Same thing with World War II. It gets to a point where sides start getting fatigued about it. And so you have some protesters in Alaska today. What are they protesting? Are they protesting Putin? Are they protesting this or that? No, they all got Ukraine flags and they're protesting Trump. Don't know why. Trump didn't have anything to do with the war in Ukraine. It's Trump derangement syndrome. These people cannot be taken seriously. So anyway, we'll pray for peace. Personally, I don't think anything's going to happen today. I just don't. Unless Trump really gets it across to Putin that if we walk away today with nothing, after going through all this, those sanctions are going into place. And, you know, and I really hate to do it, Vladimir, but I don't have a choice. This war has to end. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for Ukraine. It's not good for the world. And we need to stop this before it gets bigger. And the only thing available right now is cutting you off. And I really don't want to do it. That's how we should tell them. You shouldn't tell them like Biden would. Don't do it. Don't. And their solution with Putin was to just not talk with them. That has been one of the worst decisions. Anybody with any common sense knows that if you want to work out peace, you have to talk. If you don't want to work out peace, you don't talk. So it was obvious that Europe's plan was to just fund Ukraine ad infinitum until Putin gives up. Without understanding the history of why Putin is doing what he's doing. And as much as I hate to say it, it begrudges me to say it, I understand why Russia is fighting in Ukraine. Ukraine used to belong to Russia. At the end of the Cold War, the concession was, when Russia gave up Ukraine, that NATO shall not encroach on the Russian mainland. That was the big agreement. And at the time that was done, Putin was a youngster in the KGB, and he took that to heart. And since then, NATO has encroached on Russia with missile systems and biolabs. And the biggest thing that caused problems was the United States instigated coup in Ukraine, which ultimately led to Zelensky being in power. Because there was corruption in Ukraine. No one's arguing that. Ukraine are not nice guys, the government. There are actual Nazis in Ukraine and in their military who hate Jews. They hate everybody. They are supremacists. That doesn't represent the majority in Ukraine, just like it doesn't here. But I'm just saying that's what they have. And Putin hates that. There's a lot of bad things about Putin. There's a lot of good things as well with regard to common sense. He's kind of an enigma. He definitely does not hate the United States. He hates the West. Kind of like how I don't hate immigrants that come here. I hate the illegals that come here, the way they do it. I don't hate illegals. What I mean is, I hate the mentality and the philosophy of forgiving people coming here illegally when it tramples on the people that do come here legally doing it the right way. There's nothing more exciting than watching a migrant who comes here, came here, did everything right, worked hard, and finally gets a citizenship status a few years after being here in the system. They've earned it. They have given up the country they came from. They are now Americans, and they love our Constitution and our country. That is who we want. So Putin's point of view on Ukraine is similar to that with as far as Ukraine goes. Certain aspects of common sense Putin respects, and some he doesn't. He does not hate Americans. He does not hate America. He hates the West. The same West financing Ukraine to fight against them, And he honestly believes, like most Americans would, if Texas was annexed after a Cold War with a promise of not encroaching on it, and it was encroached upon, we would probably fight to take Texas back in that situation, because the United States would not want to give anything up. Russia was forced to at the end of the Cold War because they went bankrupt. It's been something bad in their history that Putin is trying to fix. So the problem with the West is they're not looking at it that way. They're not looking at it from the point of view of Russians. And that's a mistake. Big mistake. Putin's not going to quit and go home. He has to get something out of it for his country and his people, to say this was worth it, for one thing. And from what I've been reading, he has been saying that he is not going to cede more than 5 or 10% of what they have taken. And Zelensky wants everything Russia has taken back. It's not going to happen. Somebody is going to have to come to the harsh realization that there's not going to be peace unless there's a co-equal sacrifice. Both sides have to be unhappy. To have a peace deal, both sides are going to have to be unhappy. And that's just the truth of it. I have no idea why that truck swerved in front of me. Now we get somebody here. I'm going to turn the camera around. She pulled over for some reason. That big truck that went by swerved on my side of the road, carrying that big tractor. I was driving in the wrong lane and then went back. I thought they were doing a circle to turn into something, but they weren't. So I don't know what's up with that. But I'm going to turn the camera around for that. I think they were meaning to turn up ahead and thought the turn was here. That's my first assumption. It was strange though. I hope the driver is not having a medical crisis. I don't think so though. Anyways, so we're going to find out what happens with Ukraine and Russia. Basically, what you'd like to have is Zelensky sitting down with Putin in a room and hashing it out, with maybe Trump being there as a mediator. But it's not going to happen today, from what I gathered. Today it's just Trump and Putin. And we had Trump via video screen remotely talking with Zelensky and Russian leaders earlier this week. So obviously the Europeans and Zelensky came to an agreement. So now they have to talk with Putin. And if Putin, like I said, Trump said that business people were traveling with Putin to have a discussion, that's a good sign, and it is. That's a good sign that they want to make a peace deal so Russia can make money again. Obviously, Russia's economy is not doing well right now. It's not. And if Trump puts heavy tariffs on China and Iran, sanctions, with severe financial repercussions for China buying fuel from Russia, that's going to be a big deal. So if you do that, you have to offer China an opportunity to buy energy elsewhere, because we don't want to punish China right now with this. So I'm trusting in Trump to get this done, and if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. Trump could very well push his chair in and leave the table today. If there's any bullshit from Putin, because he put up with it before, and he's not going to now. Trump, if something like that happens, Trump should leave today and immediately impose severe sanctions that Trump threatened he was going to do. So Putin didn't like the fact that 2 nuclear submarines parked themselves off of Russia. But, you know, former Russia president was running his mouth about nukes and Ukraine. So, you know, you have to show strength with strength. Strength against strength. As much as people like to say it, Trump's not a bullshitter, and he's not a taco. You know, people, the leftists like to call Trump a taco because he folds, and they don't understand negotiation. Even on a basic level, let's say you see something in a classified ad and you want to sell it. Let's say you want to sell something in a classified ad. Anybody that sells anything used knows that that person's going to negotiate the price. So you don't list it for what you're hoping to get. You list it for more than you're asking. And you negotiate a price. If there's something you want $400 for, you list it for $600. Then you haggle the price down to $450, and you get $50 more than what you asked for. The other person feels like they got a deal because it started at $600. See how that works? And that's what they're doing. That's what Trump does with tariffs. That's why he says at this certain date, we're going to tariff your country 100%. And then as the deadline comes, you have the option of extending the deadline, which Trump has done, to have more discussions. And then you settle for tariffs much lower than that. The other side has to believe that you're not going to cave in, and that's what Trump is good at. Ones that have tried to pull his bluff have lost on that. And then you get some countries or regions like Indonesia and Southeast Asia. They came to the table quickly and worked something out immediately because they don't want the disruption. So Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, they were all very easy to get things done with. So it looks like this is what they were doing. And they marked the road. They have a irrigation system for rain, which this is what we were wondering why they were painting in the road here. So this is obviously what they did. Though we've not really had any rain to use that with. My question is, how did they install that? Doesn't look I mean, did they just stick a pipe in the ground? Is it connected to anything? They didn't dig the road up. What kind of sorcery is this? We got a sewer grate here, so maybe they just patched into a sewer down that way. So I don't know, isn't that bizarre? That's always been here. And now they have a pipe there that wasn't there before. So, I don't know. Pretty bizarre. It's a nice day for a walk today, though, I will tell you that much. In the neighborhood. It is a nice neighborhood to live in. I don't mind it. So I don't know what we're going to get out of this summit tonight, my friends. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments what you think. By the time I upload this and you watch it, this will be over this evening. But I am going to have it up pretty quickly later this evening. So it'll either be a day late and $1 short, but it won't be a day late. That's for sure. It's definitely going to be up today. So my opinion right now, not knowing how this is going to turn out, I think they're going to have a ceasefire, but I don't think it's going to last more than a couple days. Just my opinion. There's too much hate between Zelensky and Putin now. I think the best thing for Ukraine would have been to change their president to somebody else. But the president declared martial law in Ukraine, and there's no elections. So I don't like Zelensky. I don't like his politics. I don't like the fact that he was closing churches. I don't like the fact that he doesn't like the orthodoxy and the Christianity there. He's not a Christian, as far as I know. And I can tell you right now, Putin does respect Christians and Jews. He doesn't like Muslims. And it's apparently a big reason why he doesn't is what happened with Chechnya and also Afghanistan, which Russia lost a lot of blood and treasure there, and they lost that. So they have no fondness of Muslims. I've been seeing some Muslim people in the UK starting to get very angry and upset. It's about ready to boil over there. The government there has finally realized the British people are not going to put up with that. They were hoping everybody would just get over it. They're not going to. They're not going to assimilate to be Brits. Speaking of the Muslims that came in, they don't want to be there. They're there because they had to be. They don't like white people. They don't like Britain. They don't like where they are. And it's coming to a head like we knew it was going to. And I don't think the UK can do anything about it unless they rounded all these people up and just kicked them out. And I don't think they had the belly for it. Because you're still going to have political opposition there against that. So while you have people trying to win an election right now that are liberal, talking about how the migration issue is a problem, we sympathize, they're not going to do anything about it. Because they're politicians and they're not going to do anything. They just talk. Talk, talk, talk. Trump said he was going to do what he's going to do, and he's doing it. He's getting all kinds of opposition. Washington, D.C. just filed a lawsuit today. They're suing the Trump administration and get out of D.C. So that's another lawsuit D.C. is going to lose. And what they're trying to do is run out the clock for the 30 days that constitutionally, legally, that Trump has to clean up BC, and they're just trying to get an injunction and delay. But most people understand that Trump can just go ahead and declare an emergency in DC, and it negates that. And they don't think Trump will have the balls to do that. And we know he will. So I guess the point I'm making is, with politics, you're always going to have opposition trying to stop you because they don't want to lose political power, even if that's what the people want. They have their ideologies and they don't want to change. They don't want to let it go. Whether it's the donors funding the party, the lobbyists, all revolves around money. Whoever's got the money dictates what the politicians do. As long as you allow people like George Soros and radical socialists to fund people like Mamdani and the district attorneys across the country who are elected, finance those people to get elected and let criminals off when they get arrested and not punish them. People like George Soros want chaos in our cities. They were largely responsible for what happened in 2020 with the nationwide rioting. George Soros has been kicked out of his home country of Austria. George Soros was an Austrian Jew in a concentration camp. He was a kid. He sold out other Jews so he could stay alive. That's what he did. He was a rat. He caused a lot of his own people to be put to death to save himself. And that's who he is. And he admitted that in the 60 Minutes interview, so it's not misinformation. He didn't seem to be too ashamed of it. Well, here's a fish tank. Tropical fish food. So you get a tank here with a lot of the stuff you need. On the side of the road for anybody to take if they want it. And then we got a fire truck. Fire truck driving around here where No Name Pond is. I think what they're doing is they're checking for campfires. Because we are in a drought, there is a fire warning. So there's no burning of anything. Nothing. A nice little country road. I will. Beware of attack deer, it said. That's hilarious. All the times I walk by here, I've never noticed that sign till today. So aren't we having fun today? Good discussions. I'll tell you right now, with Uncle Trump in the White House, there is no lack of discussions. There is something going on every single day, often multiple things at one time. I've never seen anything like it. So the other thing I've noticed, and the media pundits are finally admitting it, Trump is the most consequential president we have had in the last 90 years, easy. The only comparison with as far as change and a president having his thumb on most things in the government would be FDR, the great Democrat god Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who served 3 terms, and he had his hands on the levers of everything, from intel agencies to the Fed to everything. You have to remember the Fed at the time was a new entity. So was income tax. Prior to 1913, Americans paid no income tax. In fact, in the late 1800s, it was ruled as being unconstitutional. But the justices on the bench changed between the late 1800s and 1913, and the Democrats took power. Well, we ended up with income tax. Supreme Court of the United States said it was constitutional in 1913 when it did not in the late 1800s. So that is a perfect example of our third branch of government dictating what happens to the country for life after they make a decision. So now we have income tax. The theory being back then that if we charge income tax, the country will always have money, it will never be in debt, it will never go bankrupt. Well, that's a laugh. Of course, the more money you take in, the more you spend if you're the government. Nobody is fiscally responsible. If it's there, they will spend it. They even do things to make sure they don't give up any money. Like in Maine here, Governor Mills' administration with Department of Human Services rented a whole floor in a building. They had nobody in it. Nobody. They were renting the entire floor so they could add it to the federal funding to ensure that they got that money. There's a whole bunch of fraud that goes on nationally like that costs us billions of dollars, which is why people enjoy what Doge was and still is doing. The media is not talking about Doge as much because Elon Musk separated from the White House, which in my opinion was a good thing, because he was getting too volatile and the media was starting to become all about him and not Trump. So Elon learned the hard way that you get your dealerships firebombed and shot at, vandalized, and you lose stock in your companies because they tried to cancel him. So Elon, for all the bluster he made about coming up with another party, hasn't been talking about it. And he started it, but it's not really doing anything right now. And in fact, he just donated almost $20 million to the Republican Party. Because I think he understands who the enemy is. And he got upset about national debt and the spending in the big beautiful bill, and he threw an autism tantrum and Asperger's. He's got Asperger's and he's also autistic. So he gets obsessively compulsive about things, and then he goes over the top, overboard with his reaction to it. And that's what he did. He's done that with a lot of things in his companies. He did that when he took Twitter over. So, in other words, I don't trust him. I don't really care for him too much. It's really too bad because I thought he was awesome for a while. And he is. He's awesome when he's not being a nut job. But then he has tantrums. He's mentally unstable. Causes problems and upset. And frankly, it's better off that he's not in the White House. So Doge is still doing what they've been doing. You can go to the .gov website for Doge, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, doge.gov. Official government website. It lists everything that they're doing currently and what they've done. So it's still there. So go play with your rockets and build your cars and mind your business. If you want to fund politicians, go ahead. If you don't, then don't. We found out pretty quickly that a political poll on his Twitter stuff is not the same as reality. 80% on Twitter said that they favored having another party besides the Republicans and Democrats. But then when he actually tried to start one, the interest just wasn't there. So a lot of people talk, but you know, they know things like I do. If you start voting for independents, you're electing Democrats. That's all you're doing in Maine. And you know, the other day outside of a store when I was shopping, there was a guy with a petition trying to get another independent party to be a legitimate party in Maine, to really serve the people this time. Probably was Elon Musk's party that he's funding. And I didn't sign it. And I told the guy, you know, Maine is 1/3 independents here. Most of them lean left. You can't win without the independent party in Maine. Period. You just can't. So, but they lean left, and that's a problem. a Phillips screwdriver. It's bent. It's bent, but what I noticed about it, it's got a very fine tip. And if you know anything about Phillips screwdrivers, a PH1 is nice to have on a driver like this, because you usually don't have those on a long handle like this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to stick it in the junk drawer to use. It'll be useful with the other screwdrivers in there. There's nothing worse than needing a Phillips and the head is too big for the small screw, and vice versa. So anyway, this guy was sitting outside the store while I was buying coffee and meat, and he wanted to sign some petitions, and I had to talk with him. He's this black dude with a straw hat, really cool dude. Liked talking with him a great deal. And I just told him, I said, you know, these independents in Maine are electing Democrats because of ranked choice voting. So while there's ranked choice voting, I got absolutely no support for independents, none. It's just the way it is. And he understood what I was saying. So he had no fondness for Democrats, which was a good sign, because 10 years ago, I'm sure he did. Things have changed. Democrats have revealed who they are. There we go. Let's stop and take a picture. Saw a leaf fall off this tree, but it was dry and crumpled. I'm noticing I'm seeing dry leaves. The leaves are starting to die. It's drought. We're in a drought officially now. National Weather Service says Maine is in a drought now. I told you guys that. I did. See all these bushes on the ground changing colors? That's not because of fall. The grass is brown, and so is plant life is turning, drying up. We have not had any significant rainfall in almost 2 months this summer. I don't see any turkeys in the straw today. Maybe we'll see some over here. close look. See if we see any heads bobbing around out there in the tall grass. Nope, I don't see anything. That's what's good if you have dogs. You send the dogs out there to flush them out if you're hunting turkeys. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Last time we walked by here, we saw about 13, 14 turkeys over there. And today I don't see anything. Oh well. Car coming up ahead here. I'll cut off to the side. They don't see me yet. They don't see me yet. They don't see me yet. Oh, they saw me. Last minute. You get used to that. You can tell when you're being seen and not seen. What a beautiful day. Perfect day today. It's not humid, it's not hot, it's 80 degrees. Gorgeous. Come to Maine, everybody. Rent a boat. Come here in your own boat. Just come here. The weather is going to be beautiful for the next couple of weeks with no rain. There's no rain expected here. We had a front go by yesterday. People were hoping for a thunderstorm with a lot of rain. It was cloudy a little bit. And it was cloudy for a bit, and then it was gone. Now here, last time we came through here, we had a whole bunch of brush overgrowth over this rail, hiding the view that I have of cars coming, so I've been crossing the street, and as you can see, somebody came through from the city and chopped all these down. And I have seen them do this. One time, they have a machine that has an arm that swings out, that has spinning blades on it, and they hang it over the side, and they just go down and cut these. We saw that whole section in Lewiston last year where we had all these branches here that fell over the rail. I'm being useful. Now, these here are still attached. But we saw like big giant tree stumps and trees cut down with one of those arms sticking out. There was sawdust and stuff all over the place. So they have equipment that does that stuff. So I'm glad, because you know it's a safety hazard. You get cars coming this way and they come down and all of those bushes were hanging over the rail and you can't see ahead. And that's why I was walking across the street, because of that. So anyways, got about another 1.5 miles to this walk left. That's usually a running brook. Still running a little bit. Just a trickle. Enough to keep the mosquitoes mosquitoing. Looks like they cut along the side of the road here too. But in any case, it is Friday today. The Trump-Putin summit. We'll see what goes on, what comes out of that. Hopefully it'll be a good weekend news cycle for Trump. He's been having all kinds of wins. The economy is doing well, stock market's doing well. Factories are starting to get built. It's going to take a while to get those done. We're rounding up illegals. Got a lot of the judicial hurdles out of the way. Still some to overcome. We're making progress. Inflation did go up 1% though. It did go up 1% in July. And that's not good. It's at 3.03%, I think, right now, and it was 2.6. So it went up almost 1%, or less than. But Trump said there would be a period of transition. There would be a spot that was sketchy, a little bit of pain before you get to the gains. He was very clear on that. So I trust him and his team. They know what they're doing. Things look really good when General Electric announces 5 new factories in 5 cities to build washing machines, refrigerators, and air conditioners here instead of Mexico and China. So what people don't understand, and the reason why the one big beautiful bill was a good thing, is that they didn't like the tax breaks for the companies, the rich, okay? But if they don't get those tax breaks, there's no incentive for them to build factories here. They'll just leave them where they are. So combined with the tariffs, it's financially viable for the company to make them here. And they are going to cost consumers a little bit more than if you paid for them from China. But that's what those tax breaks are for, and these companies are expected to absorb some of that cost and still make money. Very important for people to understand that. That's what the tariffs are for. Tariffs are a tax on other companies and countries importing into ours, and we have the largest economy in the world. Everybody wants to do business here. They have to. That gives us what Trump calls the cards to do that. If you want to play in America, you have to pay. And that's going to help pay for the tax breaks for the companies that build here. Not only are the companies building here are not going to have any tariffs, but they're also going to get a tax break. So Apple has already announced that the crystals on their phones are going to be made in the United States, in Kentucky. So while a lot of people say, well, geez, Apple's not building their phones here, Trump is a failure. You don't understand. There's a lot of components that go into a phone. We don't make the chips here. We're in the process of doing that, getting that done. And the Democrats did pass the CHIPS Act, but that was a very stupid, foolish legislation that has been slightly altered to not be so foolish. but it is going to guarantee that the United States start making our own chips. And that's a matter of national security. National security. Now, what happens if we go to war with China and they make all the chips? Well, we're not going to have stuff to build cars with. You're not going to have stoves. You're not going to have television sets. You're not going to have anything. Computers, cell phones. So we have to be able to make stuff here that we use. And that's why we were so successful in World War II. Because we had our own brass, we had our own steel, we had our own ammunition factories, we had our own tanks, jeeps, all of the firearms. Everybody's familiar with Remington Rand making 1911s, handguns. So we go from typewriters to making guns. That's what happens in wartime. But with chips, you know, that's not as easy as that. Technology is more advanced than it was, and we have to have that here. Simple things, pharmaceuticals. When China is making all that drugs for high blood pressure, heart medications, and whatever else, when we go to war with China, we don't have any drugs. You know, we get old people that will need drugs, they'll start dying. So we need to have this stuff. We have to be self-reliant. That's just the way it is. It was foolish to let all of that go. And that started with Bill Clinton. Actually, it started with George Bush Sr., to be more technically precise. So, anyway, that's my conversations for today. I'm going to sign off somewhere up ahead. Definitely having a good walk today. Let's see where we're at. 4.5 miles right now. Flip this around a little bit. All right, my friends. Guy's watering his grass. We don't have any water restrictions. We've had a drought, but like I was telling you, we're not going to get any water restrictions because our water supply is fed with an underground spring, which isn't going to run out. So that's really good, isn't it? Which, by the way, was that lake we went to the last time. We went to a lake. That was our drinking water. But it is a damn beautiful day today. My goodness. Perfect day. Perfect. This is a perfect New England day. This guy looks well stocked up on wood for this winter coming up. And he got his wood stockpile filled right up. Look at that. He's ready. Good news is heating fuel prices are doing very well at the moment. I anticipate they'll be going down too. Well needed, especially in Maine. Remember, in Trump's first term, heating fuel was $1.98 a gallon at one point. Prices dropped dramatically. They went completely bullshit under George Bush. It was almost $4 a gallon here. And that was during the housing crisis. What a mess that was. People had to buy heating fuel. They went into foreclosure. It's a mortgage crisis. I think everybody had trouble then. That's what elected Obama. Hope and change. All right, my friends. Turn the camera around. Say my goodbyes. Remember, my friends, I always like to hear from everybody. I want to hear your commentary about anything I've discussed. You don't have to agree with me, just don't be rude. That's all I ask for. There's so many people online now that reply with things and they have to end it or start it with idiot, moron. I don't know why anybody thinks somebody is going to even read what you said and listen to what you have to say when you do that. I'm not. Absolutely not. I usually see one of those words and I remove them from my channel and block them. So, doesn't accomplish anything. So anyways, my friends, till the next walk, stay out of trouble. God bless America. Say a prayer for Trump and the country, and pray for peace with Ukraine and Russia. And if we can get a peace deal, that'll be so wonderful for Trump right now. The liberals would absolutely melt. They would hate it. They want to see Trump fail, even if it means war and bloodshed. And every time I sign off with you guys, a motorcycle has to go by. Have you noticed that? So, my friends, say a prayer for Trump and the country. God bless you and your family. Stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy being American. I absolutely love being an American because I fully appreciate it when you see everything else going on. See you soon, my friends. Be happy. Supplemental footage. I wanted to add some commentary about this guy that threw a submarine sandwich he bought from Subway at a Border Patrol agent in DC. And then he tried to run off. He didn't get away. Janine Pirro is charging him with a felony assault on a federal officer, which is a felony. He can get 1 to 8 years in jail and a fine. And if it was a more severe attack, he'd get longer than that. But it also turned out he was working for the Department of Justice in DC. And I say was because he was immediately terminated after he did that. So this guy threw a foot long at a Border Patrol agent. And I don't know if it was worth it to him. But now he has to go to court. He's being charged with a felony. He's going to go to jail. And he lost his job because he got emotional, because he listened to idiots in the media. And what do you do about people like that? How do you fix that? I don't know, but I just wanted to add some supplemental commentary on that because I forgot to talk about it while I was walking. So again, thank you for walking with me. We'll see you on the next walk. Bye-bye.